Okay, my funky friends, how are you guys doing today? This is Amy, aka Funky Mama 0703. Notice the hair color change. Sorry, the darker color shows off my balding spot, so we're going to take care of that. Um, this is midnight amethyst. It's a little darker than what I planned, but I kind of like it, and we'll see how it goes. I just don't like the bald spot showing quite as much, or the thinning hair. Not really bald, it's thinning. Thanks, Dad. Um, this video today is just kind of a touching base with feelings and emotions. The last week has been extraordinarily difficult with me, or for me. I was having issues with my daughter and her not feeling um, safe where she was, and it was a very difficult week. And my mother now is starting to have some slippage in moods, and it's freaking me out. So now, well, of course, with my daughter's thing, it was giving me issues that I thought maybe I needed to start looking for help. I explained to you a little while back about my depression journey. Um, it was a difficult time for me, and I think I did pretty good at getting myself out of it. I'm still here, which to me means I didn't beat it, but I survived. Um, I'm at that point now where I'm thinking I need to get a little extra help. Now, I know I shouldn't give you too much information about my life or things going on, but this has just been a really dark time for me. And it was scary. And I'm still at that point where I think I need to get assistance and help. Not, don't mind the glare off my glasses. It's okay. I try to hide it, but I don't know, whatever. Um, for me, it's been just a very dark week. Trying to deal with both ends, and for me being the middle individual, or being the person in the middle, trying to make sure my daughter is safe and not hurting herself, and that my mother is safe and not. Uh, I don't think she'd hurt herself, but I think she just gets really depressed and sad, and she has reason. She does have good reason. Um, she has three children, and I'm not going to down talk or talk down about either one of the other about my siblings. I love them both to no end, or to deep end. I mean, there is no end to my love for my siblings. Um, we had a very dark period when my father passed, and or as my father was going through his uh, downfall, basically. A couple of years ago, my father was going to an eye doctor's appointment, and they had dilated his eyes. My father was showing signs of dementia, and we were concerned, and we knew it was just going to be a matter of time before we would have to make a decision on him, or for him. Uh, my faith tells me that the good Lord made that decision for us. He had come out of the doctor's office. It was rainy. He was eyes were dilated, so his mental or his equilibrium was already off, and then he fell, um, cracked his head, broke his hip. We got him in, or my mom took him into the emergency room. We were there with him. They had to repair his hip, hoping that he would get ambulatory again, which he never did. Also, uh, noticed that the head crack really wasn't a big issue with him, but he had um, part of it was the fact that he had forgotten how to swallow, so he couldn't eat or drink for, it was a good 2 weeks that they had to uh, have him on IV to try to help feed him and get him what he needed. Um, but he was suffering the whole time. It was 8 months of um, never knowing how long it was going to be, how long we were going to have it. So I fully understand my mother's mood and how she dealt with it, and she dealt with it like a queen. Um, but the family took its toll. I used to believe when I was young and growing up with my siblings and such that my father or my mother was the glue of the family, that she was the one that kept us together. And when this happened with my father, that's where I realized that he was the glue to the family. Um, he and I had a very special relationship, which is why I always wanted to push my daughter's relationship with her father. I have never experienced a relationship like what I had with my dad. And I fear I will never meet a man like him for my life to complete my life, because that's the guy I'm seeking, is somebody who's like my dad. Because my dad was he was fun, he was crazy, and his birthday's coming up at the end of this month, and I want to kind of do a little near the end, and I want to do a little thing. So um, I put out feelers. We'll see if anybody answers or comes to it. But I just there'll be a nice video in memory of that old man, and I absolutely loved him. But he was my best friend. We did things together. Just going shopping with him was an experience, and we would do it on a weekly basis. As he was getting near the end and he was still at home, I would take him out. Um, I tried to take him out once every other week to go like to Target, go shopping. Um, he just wasn't as ambulatory as he used to be, or as he should have been. And I didn't want him to have to go and walk distances, so we had to make arrangements. My mother actually even bought a uh, wheelchair for him that we would put in the back of the car and then get out and take him for a walk through the store and that type thing. Um, we never really got to use it because he fell, and that pretty much put an end to his outing. He spent 8 months in, well, he spent almost 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks, I think, in one of the local hospitals. They take very good care of him. Um, but you could tell his dementia was really setting in, and he had gotten to the point where he was not going to help them try to get him walking again. He had broke his hip, so of course they had to heal that, and they actually had to do emergency surgery to get that bone back in place, because they wanted to at least um, make him comfortable if he wasn't going to be able to wander around anymore. Um, he tried. It was a trying time watching my dad, and I think the hardest part for my mother and I were, and I like I said, I don't want to talk garbage about my siblings, because I do love them, but that was a dark point for our family, because at that time my brother and sister both kind of backed off of the family. My brother was one who was not part of the relationship with the family, hasn't been for quite a while. He backed off, and we hadn't seen him. Um, my sister, I don't know. Mom and I often discussed it and thought it was because neither one of them really knew how to deal with um, death. We've had animals, as we were growing up, we had animals pass, and we had to deal with their deaths, deal with family members that weren't really close, because we really didn't have a lot of close people in the family pass. I mean, they were our family, but we were never really close with them. My parents, my mom's family was scattered throughout the United States, and my dad's family was in the same town, but we never really had much to do with them. And that's a whole nother story that nobody really knows the full story of. So we really never experienced death in that respect. Um, my mom and dad had because they both worked at one of the local mental hospitals, and that's where they met and fell in love, which explains an awful lot with our family. But I uh, had worked at a nursing home for a short period of time and had to deal with the deaths of our clients and our residents. And it hit me, and I had experienced death in that respect. And um, I think that might be why uh, Mom and I really kind of bonded over this situation, whereas my brother and sister, who never had that type of experience with death. My mom worked at a nursing home as well, the same one actually, for both of us for a very short period of time. Although I did last there longer than she did. I'm going there. Um, but we both had experience with death. My mom, of course, with her being a nurse, had experienced it, and me with working in the nursing home and that type thing. Very limited, but it was watching it firsthand. And working in a nursing home, you know that these people that are there are not long for this world because of things going on in their lives, but they're slowly going away too. And it happens. That's part of life. That's the great, oh, it's right in my back. That's the great thing about life, is it's circular. You start and you come right back around. So it's kind of um, that really made sense. Anyways, um, I'm dealing with a lot of things. My mother is very upset with how she's being dealt with by most of the family, or by the family. I'm there with her on a weekly basis. I sit with her. I hang out with her. My kids and I are there doing things for her, with her. So we do our best to be part of her life, and let her know that we're still here and that she still matters. Um, Send messages on Facebook several times. My daughter texts her on a regular basis. I mean, we are there for her. We've let her know. She does not feel that the other two are available, and she and they, one of them has an issue with the fact that my mom never comes to her house, never does things with her, whereas my brother um, doesn't doesn't deal with the family. So she's feeling a little lost, a little confused, and a little angry, and I understand that. My daughter's got her own issues going on, and just dealing with my daughter's, I mean, I did kind of give you some information about her in other videos, but she's been having a very dark period in her life right now. And I've been struggling to try to find out how I can resolve them for her. And it's been taking a toll on me. Um, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm drained. I am frustrated because I want to make everybody better, because I don't know if any of you out there have the same issue. I'm a middle child, and for me, being the middle child, the eldest daughter, middle child, I always feel like it's my job to try to make it better for everybody else. To basically mother the oldest daughter, oldest sister, has that need to be the mother and fix things, and the middle child is always trying to kind of be the one that buffers. So I find myself doing that for my sister, for my daughter, for my mom. Um, Not so much for my brother, because he and I have had our issues too. But I feel like I need to be the buffer and find answers for everybody and fix it. So I drive myself crazy trying to figure out answers for everybody and try to make it better for them. And I fail every time. Um, I guess I can't really say I fail, because I've actually have done some good, but it's just I love my family, and I want them all to be happy, and they can't be. And that's where my pain comes from. And that's where the depression has hit me back again. Um, I know that you never beat it. It's always in there. And I also know, at least for me, I don't know if anybody else gets that. And if you guys do, if you guys have suffered from depression and can attest to this, let me know in the bar below, because I want to hear if anybody else has had that. I have found that when I start slipping back into a depression of some sort, or it starts kind of hitting me, um, I can kind of feel, and I know that it's coming, so that I can try to find a way to get myself out of it. Um, in the past, since I've had it before, I never really, at that first time going through, I never understood what it was. But now I can kind of feel myself slipping, and I try to um, back away from certain things that cause my depression to become worse. And this has been a rough time for me, because these are people I can't back away from. And to feel myself slipping back into that again recently really didn't help me. So I felt myself being pulled deeper and deeper in. And right now I'm at a point where I think I'm okay, because I've answered my daughter's problem, I found a solution to my daughter's problem, and kind of helped my mother through her issue. I'm trying to figure out what we can do to make it better for my sister and my mom. So I have, I, I can't help it. It's just the middle child in me. But I find that's my biggest depression issue is dealing with family, which is true. And these are people you can't disengage with. They always say, when negativity comes in and you feel yourself getting pulled into it, you're supposed to disengage. I cannot disengage, because these people are in my life. They're my family. And I love them, and I don't want to kick them out of my life or back away from them. So I have to find a way to cope with it. So I am seeking help of a therapist. It's taking me a little bit because there are so many hoops that you got to jump through in order to get the help you need, which is ridiculous. Although I do understand, but I do understand in part. If this is your first walk through, I do understand that you need to have a doctor verify that you are slipping into a depression or that you are at a point in depression that you need to get the help. But I have been through this before and I know myself. And I know that if I feel that I need help, I need the help. I'm not sitting back and saying, oh yeah, what the heck? I've been through this. I know what it feels like for me to be in that at that point where I need the help. And I have to now jump through hoops in order to get my doctor to get me in. And of course, my doctor currently is out on maternity leave. And then one of her partners is also out on maternity leave. And I have to, by the end of this month, I might be able to get in to see somebody in order to get a referral to a psychiatrist or psychologist. And who knows how long that will take. So they're not making it easy. And I understand they're at point, but it's just, I know when I need help. I'm not one to ask for help unless I absolutely need it. And I'm at that point and they're not willing I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine, but, it is what it is. And you got to work your way through the system and hope that it works for you. One thing that hit me really deeply was earlier, I think it was yesterday or the day before, one of the YouTubers that my daughter introduced me to. She's a simmer on YouTube, and she does a lot of YouTube videos dealing with her Sims games and such. I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce it right, but Della Gracie. Absolutely beautiful girl. I mean, she's so cute. She's from Australia, and she has a sweet little accent, and I absolutely love, well, she's got a little lisp, which is fine because she's so cute. And I find her YouTubing amazing. Her videos are so cool. But I also noticed she had, was it one of her last videos, was about her own depression and her own, well, just having a bad day or whatever, having a bad week actually. And she had it pretty bad. One thing I realize when we read that stuff or when we see that stuff is and I know it happens to me and I can't speak for everybody, but I'm assuming that it works or it happens that way for all of us. I know for me, I feel bad about what's going on in my life. And then I look and see other people who have it worse than me. And then that hits. And then it tells me makes me kind of feel guilty that I'm feeling bad about this when other people have it worse than me. Whole thing of like when you gripe about a pain in your back or whatever, and then you short while later see somebody who's in a wheelchair because they can't walk or whatever. You feel guilty because you've got your own suffering and you feel like you have to suffer or you have to at least say something. And then you start realizing, yeah, I don't have it as bad as other people and I should be glad with where I am. And that is the point I'm at right now. With her, hers, you feel when you get, at least for me, and I keep trying to generalize and it's not true, but with me, it's like, I'll sit there and feel guilty about the fact that I'm doing this. And then it's like every little thing feels like it's making it worse. She was so cute though, because she was talking about how she had come back from a convention and her trouble having to get back home and all the problems she had. And then she got home and she got a stomach bug and then she was sick and then she had her period come and that was a rough time too. So she was really just overly emotional. And I think we've all had those moments. But I know for me, it's like I sit there and it's like, okay, I've got all this stuff going on and it gets worse and worse and worse. And one more thing on top of it, and it's just getting to you and it's rough. And you then feel like, do I have a right to be upset about this? Do I have a right to complain? Do I have a right to cry? And you got to take your time and do it. You definitely got to do that. If your body tells you to do it, you do it because that makes it, you're releasing energy that is negative energy. And you just want to get yourself taken care of. And the stupidest things set you off. At least for me, it did. There I go generalizing. Like I said in my depression video, sometime back. I attempted, or I was going to attempt suicide to kill myself after a really bad haircut. And you look back, I mean, I look back now and I see that as like a real petty reason for doing it. But a lot of people who um, are depressed and who are upset, this is their world and that's what hurts them. I mean, my daughter went through that, something like that as well, not the haircut thing, but she had her own thing. And, for a person looking back, it, it looks petty, but it was their everything at that particular time. And we, mental health, that's a big thing is mental health is just overlooked. Um, it's becoming a more foreground thing, but nobody's really considering it. That is one of the reasons why I did that Prince EA video. I'll put a link of it for it in here, video series um, about mental health and mental health awareness. I think we as a society tend to um, downplay how we feel about certain things. And I think we're afraid to be honest about it. And if we're having a problem, we're afraid to speak out simply because we think people are going to figure we're weaker. Um, and mental health issues are something that you need to pay attention to. So this long rambling was basically just kind of touching base with how I feel and what's going on in my life right now. And I know you're probably bored and sick of hearing from me, but I would love to hear if you guys have anything to add, any wisdom that might work out or be helpful. Um, I'll tell you, the one thing I find is when I'm in a point like I'm at right now, and I can feel myself slipping into a little bit of a depression, maybe not to the point where I'm going to do anything stupid, because I know I'm not, but trying to get myself out of it is imperative. And doing a lot more coloring, spending a lot more time just kind of relaxing, playing games, whatever. And, you do the one thing you can rely on to keep yourself strong and work out whatever frustrations. I haven't gotten to play Sims yet, but I figure I might be killing some people, and I don't know if that's a good thing. I really don't know what's going on in there. But it's just a neat way of working off some frustration that's going around. I'm trying my best to deal with the things going on through my life, and hoping that I can find rest and comfort. And I'm hoping the same for my daughter and my mother. I know my sister takes a lot of stuff that my mom says online as trouble, or as personally, and that she needs a little bit of love too. So hopefully we can all find our way through this. It's a girl thing in my family. We're screwed. But yeah, we just, I don't know, just wanted to get touch base. One thing I'll tell you, it was really kind of cool. I'm going to put it in here as well, but I got a email. I'm a big Supernatural fan, so I love, Dean is my man on that show. But I watched, or I did joined a group that did really funny stuff. I mean, they're actually a company that wants to sell you supernatural items, and of course, things for the show, not supernatural stuff. But I bought a couple things. I have bought a couple things. They're really kind of cute. But one thing that they do is sometimes you get emails from them as the characters. And Monday, I think I was at my lowest, and this email came, and it was from Dean, and brings me back to days when I was in high school and young and having a lot of fun just playing characters or doing role playing and that type thing. But it was funny because this email talked about how they know that, or he knows that it's getting rough. And like I said, I'll put in a copy of it in this video. You'll be able to read it yourself. But I think it's kind of cute because it just hit right at a point when I needed it. And it was basically saying, I know how life is going to get you down, and you are feeling bad, and I know you're about ready to give up, but just keep in mind, we're all here for you, and it would be horrible if your life ended, because we need you here. And I think that was exactly what I needed to hear when I needed to hear it, because I was in tears as I was reading it, because it's like, this gets me. And then the fact that it just lifted my heart up, and I felt so good about it after that. So I'm like, okay, now I know I can do something. It wasn't until that point that I actually felt like I should be doing something about this depression, this anger, this fear, this pain. It wasn't until I actually saw that I'm like, okay, now it's time to do something. And I just want to say thank you to them. It's actually a group in Iceland or something that's um, selling bits and pieces of things. Necklaces that are, I mean, they have one item that it's based on your favorite character, and you can buy a heart in the shape or in the color of their eyes. Or, that's one thing I did pick up, and I can't remember what. They just got some really neat things that are just based on the show itself. But it hit me, the email came at just the right time, and I want to say thanks to them. Was it, they're called the Purgatory, something like that. And no, this is Purgatory. They hit at just the right time where I'm like, okay, now I feel good. Now I can do this. And I just want to say thank you to them. So now that I have rambled on for a half hour, and I'm really sorry about that, let me know your thoughts, feelings, whatever, any suggestions, anything like that in the comment bar below. I would love to hear something from you guys, because I haven't heard anything, and I just, I've been doing this and I feel pretty good about doing this, and whether I actually continue, well, it's not continue. If I how I actually just keep doing this, I'd like to hear a little bit. Um, Last week was rough, so I didn't have anything out. So I'm feeling like I need to get things out this week and then continue on. I just feel like I've let myself down. So now we're trying to get things back on. Um, Comment if you want. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear words of encouragement or whatever else you feel is on your heart to say. Anything you think of doing, you want us to see here or whatever, let me know. Also, you can subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, you can subscribe, or have a family member, friend, whatever. If anything helps them, from my Sims videos to my Project Corner videos, once I start posting those, which should be coming up because I've got a couple projects almost finished. Those are done in a weird way, so but when I get them, start putting them out, I'll explain how they're done. And then just the helpful videos I'm trying to do. I'd like to hear suggestions for other things, or just your comments on what you think about them. I'd love to hear it. Comment bar below, let me know. And then there's always the subscribe thing. If there's somebody who needs a little extra help, I'd love to hear. I'd love to be able to help out as much as that. One of the videos I'd like to do is a Reddit read, just to do some advice columns there. I've got so many options, so many things. We'll see what the future holds. Notification button, that bell at the end after you subscribe, lets you know what I'm up to and what's new. Thanks for stopping in. Have a great day, guys. Bye.